548 news from all sides, results. On Weibo, the topic of Jiangbei University's thief was still brewing. More and more people joined the discussion. Everyone's emotions kept climbing. They kept praising Tang Yuan. There were even signs that the thief would be expelled immediately. At this moment, a trending topic suddenly appeared on Weibo: nonsense. Bing Tang Yuan's talking nonsense, video MP4. Zhu Tang Yuan's talking nonsense, video MP4. These were Xia Bing and Xia Zhu's newly registered accounts. They were posts by new accounts, so how could they get any popularity? However, their thoughts were that they had to let more people know that Lin Fan had been wronged. Therefore, they used their own network technology to push the topic to the trending list. This attracted a few comments. Chaos F*CK, Tang Yuan spouting nonsense, he's framing someone. Tian, framing, commenter, why don't you take a look at the situation first? There are only a few comments, but it became a trending topic. Isn't that strange? The charm of nowhere, that's disgusting. The thief must have paid for this post. Moreover, he's buying traffic. He even used 2 newly registered accounts to make these posts. Pa, do you think that this will make everyone deny what you've done? Impossible. Flower thief, I advise you to quickly go to jail and stop resisting. Comparing heart, shameless thief, you actually blurred your face in the video. Since you're taking things this far, then show your face. Are you afraid you have a guilty conscience, huh, Pa? Did not show his face. That was right. Xia Bing and Xia Zhu indeed did not reveal Lin Fan's face. That was because they had been observing Lin Fan's information every day. Gradually, Xia Bing and Xia Zhu realized that Lin Fan did not like to be exposed on the internet. As a result, even though he had achieved such huge achievements, there was not a single photo of him on the internet. In addition, Xia Bing and Xia Zhu did not want to cause Lin Fan any negative effects. What Xia Bing and Xia Zhu did not know was that the video could be posted only because they had blurred Lin Fan's face. Otherwise, their video would not have appeared on the internet. That was because Lin Fan had the super smart watch Lil White, which was always carrying out Lin Fan's orders. As long as any videos or photos of him appeared on the internet, they would be deleted immediately. At this moment, the internet was attacking Lin Fan. Even if Xia Bing and Xia Zhu pushed the topic to the hot searches, and even if there was video evidence, it was useless. However, not long after, Jiangbei News, Weibo News, Daily News, Hot News, and other major media outlets released the news at the same time. The slander at Jiangbei University. The news released the surveillance footage of Lin Fan and Tang Yuan. Then they analyzed and summarized all the details, including how Tang Yuan had hired commenters. The content was clear and understandable. Initially, after a day since the news broke, the people on the internet were boiling with excitement over the thief at Jiangbei University. When they saw the new update, they immediately felt as if they had been doused with cold water. Everyone calmed down again. Linzai, we seem to have been used. Huan, this. Lingbo Q Tang, what's the real situation? Zhou Yan, why do I still feel that something is not right? This news article is all analysis and reasoning. In the end, it's all speculation. If they wanted to report on this, they should also investigate it, right? At the very least, the outcome should be reported by the official department of Jiangbei University, right? No sugar in coffee, the commenter above is right. The entire thing was strange. I suspect that the thief might have hired these verified accounts. I'll analyze it here. This thief might be a young master of a large consortium. The reason why he did such a thing might be because of some special hobby. Cheng, that's impossible, right? These accounts seem to be official accounts. This was done by Song Jiaxin. Even though she could not completely convince everyone, it made some people less radical. While everyone was discussing, Jiangbei University's official website also released an announcement. Jiangbei University, an announcement regarding the theft case at our school. Our school has attached great importance to this incident. After careful investigation, we're now responding to the process and results of the incident. This incident started when Tang Yuan wanted to cut the queue. After the other party refused, Tang Yuan seemed to harbor hatred for the other party. Therefore, when they met again, Mr. Tang took a photo and took revenge. Later, because Tang Yuan wanted to use this opportunity to create a hot topic and become famous as an internet celebrity, he deliberately made a big deal out of the incident. Therefore, this incident has nothing to do with the man in the photo. The school has decided to give Tang Yuan a major demerit and put him on probation for framing someone. We hope all students will take this as a warning. Finally, we would like to thank everyone for paying attention to Jiangbei University. This announcement quickly attracted the attention and comments of countless people. Fang Yuan, terrifying, it's really a false accusation, isn't that too vile? Dazhuang's mother, I was praising Tang Yuan so much but he actually framed someone else. Watermelon, he took revenge because the other party didn't let him cut the queue, he's too evil. Windy people, this is too disgusting, also I hate it when people cut in line. Frosty, Jiangbei University's investigation is so fast this time, but is it true? Soon after, the Jiangbei Police Department also issued a similar announcement. The Jiangbei Police Department, after investigation, we can confirm that Tang Yuan did frame someone else. However, the police were not called for this. Now, Mr. Tang should publicly apologize to the other party on the internet. Soon, the post received many comments. So he really framed another person. Shallow smile, winning public sympathy and wasting public resources. Lan Lingling, if what some people said is true and that the thief is the young master of a big corporation, it's terrifying to think about it. When terrifying. Even though many major media outlets, Jiangbei University and the Jiangbei Police Department had released news and announcements, they still did not gain everyone's trust. That was until midnight. The Nation Daily posted on Weibo. Nation Daily, defamation and slander are both crimes. Recently, Tang Yuan from Jiangbei University has been using the internet to slander others. Little did he know that he's already embarked on the path of crime. I hope everyone will take this as a warning. This article was not long. However, it made everyone believe that Tang Yuan was framing Lin Fan. This was the Nation Daily. It was the fairest and most loyal news outlet. Li Ryu, so that's how it is. I was almost deceived by Tang Yuan. Chen Nianian, I hope that this matter can be dealt with seriously to prevent such things from happening again. Su Yue, he took advantage of everyone's sympathy. This kind of person is very despicable. Kain Kun Tianxia, I saw someone say something. The person who's framed is a rich second-generation heir. He's delusional, right? The wind blows over. If he's committed a crime, the Jiangbei Police Department and Jiangbei University can't let him off so easily. Love you for 10,000 years, severe punishment. Would type yeah, severe punishment. It was nighttime. Tang Yuan looked at his increasing number of followers and smiled widely. However, before he could smile for long, he was called to the meeting room by the leaders of Jiangbei University. There he saw the professor, the director, the dean, even the chancellor. Tang Yuan had always thought that he would not be ordinary in the future. He would either become a senior official of a listed company or a big internet celebrity. However, when he saw so many leaders, he could not help but be at a loss. It was very stressful to answer questions in front of so many leaders. In addition to the professional and strict review, as well as the concrete evidence. Not long after, Tang Yuan told them everything. Therefore, Jiangbei University punished Tang Yuan that day. According to the chancellor and the others, the impact of this incident was very bad. If Tang Yuan did not admit his mistake, he would be expelled. This was not the end. Tang Yuan had just returned to his dormitory when two police officers rushed over. Hello, are you Mr. Tang? You're suspected of slandering others, please come with us. On the first day of school, Tang Yuan was given a major demerit and was kept on probation. Furthermore, he had to spend the entire night at the police station. He became extremely haggard, and his heart was filled with endless regret. Lin Fan was completely oblivious to all of this. Of course, even if he knew, he would not care. The next day, he arrived at Jiangbei University as usual. Last night, Xia Bing and Xia Zhu already knew what had happened to Tang Yuan. They were very happy and constantly smiling. They had some involvement in yesterday's incident. This made them feel like they had helped Lin Fan, so they were very happy. A few days passed in a flash. In the blink of an eye, it was Saturday. During the summer break, Lin Fan stayed at home in Qing City. It was very warm and comfortable. However, it lacked the bustling experience of a big city. After breakfast, Lin Fan went to the financial street of Jiangbei. He looked at the tall buildings on both sides of the road and experienced the bustling city that he had not seen in a long time. Today, Wang Tong and Li Xinyu went shopping on the financial street. Originally, Li Xinyu did not want to go out. However, since Wang Tong had invited her again and again, Li Xinyu could not keep refusing. After all, the two of them were roommates after all. It would not be good if their relationship was too strained. On the second day of school, under Wang Tong's suggestion, 4 of them held a dinner party. Wang Tong happened to run into her boyfriend and his 2 friends. Hence, they decided to eat together. After that, Wang Tong often praised one of the men called Tan Jiayu in front of Li Xinyu. It was said his family's assets were close to 100 million yuan, he lived in a big villa, drove a supercar, and so on. She even asked Li Xinyu what she thought of him. Li Xinyu was not a child who did not know anything. She naturally understood what Wang Tong meant. The other party wanted to matchmake her and Tan Jiayu. Hence, Li Xinyu said straightforwardly, "I have someone I like." At this point, Wang Tong stopped talking about such topics. Today, after Wang Tong's invitation, Li Xinyu agreed to go shopping together. She did not expect to meet Tan Jiayu, who was dressed in a suit. It was a coincidence. 2 coincidences. How could there be so many coincidences in this world? Li Xinyu was not happy, but she did not want to say anything. However, Tan Jiayu was like a mangy dog, sticking close to her and constantly looking for a topic to talk about. This annoyed Li Xinyu and she frowned. Just as she was about to find an excuse to leave, she looked up and saw a tall and handsome figure. It was Lin Fan. At this moment, Li Xinyu's brows instantly relaxed. Her face was very pretty and now it looked extremely brilliant. When Lin Fan invited Chief Physician Lei to treat Li Xinyu's father who was suffering from a tumor, Li Xinyu's heart went through many changes. At first she was grateful, but as time passed, Lin Fan seemed to occupy a bigger position in her heart. When Li Xinyu was alone, the image of Lin Fan chatting with her father would often appear in her mind. The image of Lin Fan smiling, the image of Lin Fan opening the door. Gradually, Li Xinyu knew that she had fallen in love with Lin Fan. She wanted to be with Lin Fan forever. It was this mentality that made Li Xinyu study hard last semester. In the end, she entered Jiangbei University with excellent results. Ever since she came to Jiangbei University, Li Xinyu had been looking forward to meeting him. Today it finally became a reality. Li Xinyu called out in a trembling voice, "Brother Lin." Lin Fan smiled and said, "Xinyu." Then Li Xinyu ignored Tan Jiayu, who was nagging, and ran toward Lin Fan. During the college entrance exam, Lin Fan realized that Li Xinyu had already become slim and graceful. After the summer break, Lin Fan realized that Li Xinyu's face, waist, and thighs had not changed. However, her neck had elongated. "You're at Jiangbei University?" Lin Fan asked. "Yes, yes," Li Xinyu nodded her head vigorously. As she spoke, her beautiful eyes shone with a brilliant light. Her entire face was flushed red with excitement. Tan Jiayu's face darkened when he saw this. Wang Tong, who was beside him, asked, "Xinyu, is this your friend? Why didn't you introduce us?" After a pause, she said, "Hello, I'm Wang Tong from Xinyu's university. This is my boyfriend's friend, Tan Jiayu." As she introduced him, her eyes were sizing him up. Lin Fan said, "Hello, I'm Lin Fan. I'm Xinyu's senior from high school." Even though Lin Fan didn't like this kind of scrutiny, the other party was Li Xinyu's friend after all. He could not make things too ugly. 550 promotion, doing business. Wang Tong believed that she had a pair of sharp eyes that could see through men. She could easily discover a man's financial status. Then she looked at his clothes. Finally, she looked at his shoes. The poor played with cars, the rich played with watches. As long as a man had some money, especially a young man, he would definitely wear a luxury model watch. Not to mention the likes of Patrick Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, and Rolex. At the very least, it should be a Longines, right? Lin Fan was wearing an electronic watch. How ridiculous. He was not afraid of losing face. Wang Tong did not know that Lin Fan had dozens of watches worth millions of yuan, such as Vacheron Constantin watches and Patek Philippe watches. However, Lin Fan did not wear any of them because those watches could only tell the time. How could it compare to a super smart watch? Clothes made the man. Clothes represented a man's taste. In Wang Tong's opinion, taste was equivalent to big brands. Rich men should wear LV, Prada, Armani. If it was sportswear, it would at least be Nike or Adidas, right? But what about Lin Fan? He did not wear any branded items. He probably got his outfit from street stalls. Naturally, she did not know about it. In Wang Tong's opinion, any man with a little money had to at least have good shoes. Even if he did not wear Gucci, Hermes, LV, at the very least, he should wear Chanel, right? What about Lin Fan? His shoes were not branded. It was probably another street stall item. Wang Tong did not know that the shoes were also custom-made for him. However, this time, they were designed by Gucci's famous designer Harston. After all, Lin Fan was a shareholder of both LV and Gucci. LV had sent a professional designer, so how could Gucci dare to fall behind? Wang Tong was completely unaware of all of this. However, in her eyes, she had already seen through everything about Lin Fan. He was a loser. Wang Tong rolled her eyes and laughed disdainfully. So you're Xinyu's senior from high school. Mr. Lin, are you working in Jiangbei? Lin Fan said, you can say so. This sentence was partly perfunctory and partly true. This was because he had the largest shares in companies such as Xiao Wu Wholesale City and Yinshan Group. Even though he only took the dividends, he was also holding onto the title of director of these companies. It could be considered as working. Li Xinyu looked at Lin Fan curiously. Was brother Lin not studying at Jiangbei University? Why was he working now? Then today is a good opportunity, Wang Tong said with a smile. You might not know, but Mr. Tan Jiayu next to me is the young master of the famous Waffle Corporation. As long as you build a good relationship with him, there'll definitely be no problem for you to be promoted and get a raise in the future. Oh right, Jiayu, is your family's Waffle Corporation going public soon? First, she mentioned the young master, then the listed company which raised Tan Jiayu to a very high position. Promotion and raise. Li Xinyu blinked her big eyes and remained silent. She knew that Lin Fan had a supercar and that he could easily look for the association director, Li Quan. He even took out a very magical potion that instantly cured her father's injuries. Everything showed that Lin Fan did not lack money at all. Tan Jiayu raised his head and pretended to be casual. 3 years at the latest, Waffle Corporation is already in the process of an IPO. Wang Tong immediately opened her mouth wide and praised, "This is too amazing." This praise came from Wang Tong's heart. She knew very well what going public meant. It was also possible for his net worth to increase by 100 times in an instant. Tan Jiayu still looked like he did not care, but his neck was raised even more. Actually, I don't really care about my family's company. I want to achieve something with my own abilities, that's why I joined Maple Leaf Ventures. Now I have some achievements and is a department manager at Maple Leaf Ventures. Not only do you have a good family background, but you're also so capable, Wang Tong praised again. Jiayu, you're too amazing. As she spoke, her eyes seemed to flash with light, and she seemed to have transformed into a fangirl. I'm just a manager, it's not a big deal, I have to become a partner first. Although Tan Jiayu said that, he could not help but reveal a smug look on his face. He was that powerful. Tan Jiayu was lost in the praises. Perhaps even he had forgotten that his family was only fantasizing about going public in 3 years. It was still unknown when the company would be listed, or whether it would have a chance to be listed. As for the position of department manager of Maple Leaf Ventures, he did not get it based on his ability at all. It was directly obtained through his family's connections. After Tan Jiayu was pleased with himself, he seemed to realize that Li Xinyu's senior Lin Fan was still beside him. He glanced at Lin Fan and said, "Mr. Lin, you're Xinyu's senior, so you're my friend. If your work isn't going well, you can come to my family's company. I'll give you twice the salary of your previous company." Double the salary. Lin Fan's expression turned weird. One had to know. In addition to the dividends from companies such as Xiao Wu Wholesale City and Yinshan Group, these companies also specially prepared tens of millions of yuan for his annual salary. Double the salary. It was probably 100 billion, right? Did Waffle Corporation have an annual profit of 100 million? Tan Jiayu did not wait for Lin Fan's reply and said, "Of course, if you don't want to work and want to do business, I can also get Maple Leaf Ventures to get you an investment or something." Lin Fan smiled, "Really, I do want to do business." "No problem, how much investment do you need?" Tan Jiayu asked. Lin Fan said, "Let's test the waters first." As he spoke, he extended a finger. "Test the waters. How much could this be?" 10,000. 100,000. Not to mention the venture capital company, even Tan Jiayu himself could fork out that money. He immediately said, "Don't worry, as long as you want it, I can give you the money immediately." At this moment, a Lamborghini roared like a ferocious beast and sped over from afar. When it passed by Lin Fan, the driver stepped on the brakes and stopped beside him. Then a man in a checkered shirt quickly got out of the car. He called out in an extremely excited and respectful voice, "Brother Lin Fan, what a coincidence. I didn't expect to meet you here." As soon as he said that, the entire scene suddenly fell silent. This man was Liu Yuheng, whom he had not seen for a long time. Back then, after the mountain road race, Liu Yuheng began to get close to Lin Fan. Later on, when he brought Lin Fan to the capital to attend the auction, Lin Fan casually saved Old Master Zhou. Liu Yuheng was shocked by Lin Fan. When Lin Fan used his amazing financial methods to easily earn 400% profit in the stock market in just 3 days, Liu Yuheng started to worship him even more. Not too long ago, Lin Fan offered to sell the drug to the Liu and Sun families. Liu Yuheng was extremely grateful. In the beginning, he only wanted to be on good terms with Lin Fan. However, later on, Liu Yuheng completely treated himself as Lin Fan's lackey. How could a lackey not be excited when he saw his big brother? Wang Tong was stunned. Liu Yuheng had walked out of a Lamborghini. He actually knew Lin Fan. His tone was so respectful too. Respectful. A rich young master who drove a Lamborghini was respectful to a loser. What was going on? In contrast to Wang Tong's confusion, Tan Jiayu's heart was beating wildly. He knew, or rather, he had seen Liu Yuheng before. It was at a dinner party not long ago. When Liu Yuheng arrived at the banquet venue, he immediately became the most dazzling presence. Everyone hurriedly went forward to ask about his well-being and smiled apologetically. Tan Jiayu's father, on the other hand, was so happy that he could not sleep for a few nights because Liu Yuheng had a drink with him. Later, his father told Tan Jiayu that Liu Yuheng was the young master of Liu Pharmaceuticals. What kind of existence was Liu Pharmaceuticals? Before this year, Liu Pharmaceuticals was a giant enterprise in the entire Jiang province. This year, Liu Pharmaceuticals and Sun Pharmaceuticals obtained the total sales rights of the human islet recovery drug. This led to the expansion of Liu and Sun Pharmaceuticals. They had the potential to become the top pharmaceutical companies in the country. As the young master of Liu Pharmaceuticals, Liu Yuheng was like a person sitting on top of the clouds. Such an existence had actually appeared in front of him. Moreover, he even addressed this ordinary-looking young man as Brother Lin Fan. This. He must have misheard, that was it. Lin Fan was a little surprised. "Yuheng, long time no see, what have you been busy with recently?" Liu Yuheng smiled. "Brother Lin Fan, ever since you gave the task of developing the human islet recovery drug to my family and the Sun family, I've been helping my family expand the market." Tan Jiayu was shocked. He did not hear wrongly. Liu Yuheng was really calling him Brother Lin Fan. Moreover, from what Liu Yuhang said, the reason why Liu Pharmaceuticals and Sun Pharmaceuticals were able to sell the human islet recovery drug was all because of Lin Fan. Who exactly was this young man? He had just said that he wanted the other party to work in his father's company and give him double his salary. Also, Li Xinyu seemed to be Lin Fan's girlfriend. He had also repeatedly expressed his desire for Li Xinyu. This. Tan Jiayu's face turned pale at the thought of this, and a thin layer of sweat gradually seeped out of his forehead. He understood that he had caused trouble. It was a disaster. Lin Fan did not care about Tan Jiayu's change of heart. He continued to chat and laugh with Liu Yuhang. You bastard, it seems that you're blaming me for giving your family and the Sun family the opportunity to sell the drug, which is why you don't have time to fool around anymore. Liu Yuhang said, of course not, I'm so happy. It's because you let our family sell the drug that I have the simple task of expanding the market. I completed it quickly and my family even gave me a lot of bonuses. With this money, I can make better modifications to my car. Liu Yuhang's eyes lit up at the mention of car modification. He was extremely excited. He loved cars from the bottom of his heart. Looking at how serious he was, Lin Fan could not help but burst out laughing. Then Lin Fan introduced, oh right, this is my junior Li Xinyu. What kind of foresight did Liu Yuhang have? He easily noticed that Li Xinyu was exquisite and beautiful. Furthermore, the way she looked at Lin Fan was filled with love. Sister Xinyu, Liu Yuhang said, hello Xinyu. Liu Yuhang was several years older than Li Xinyu. However, he called her Sister Xinyu. Li Xinyu's pretty face instantly flushed red. She understood what this title meant. Liu Yuhang had just called Lin Fan Brother Fan. Li Xinyu was both shy and happy. Liu Yuhang turned around and opened the trunk to the Lamborghini. He took out a suet jade bracelet and said, Sister Xinyu, I left in a hurry today and didn't bring any gifts. I hope you don't mind this bracelet. Li Xinyu did not like to accept gifts from others, especially guys. However, this was a gift from Lin Fan's friend. Moreover, the other party even called her Sister Xinyu. If she did not accept it, would Lin Fan have other thoughts? Li Xinyu hesitated for a while but still reached out and said, thank you. You're too kind, Sister Xinyu, Liu Yuhang laughed heartily. It had to be said that Liu Yuhang had good communication skills. With just a few words, he easily got close to Li Xinyu. At this moment, Lin Fan seemed to have thought of something. He turned to Tan Jiayu and said, by the way, you just said that as long as I want to do business you can transfer the money to me immediately, right? Then let's do it. Transfer 10 billion first. 10 billion. Even if Tan Jiayu sold the entire Tan family, he would not be able to gather that much money. Tan Jiayu understood that Lin Fan was deliberately making things difficult for him and punishing him. Therefore, he said in a mournful tone, Mr. Lin, I'm sorry, I was blind earlier, I'm sorry. Lin Fan said, what do you mean? Didn't you say that your family's Waffle Corporation is going public soon? Aren't you a department manager at Maple Leaf Ventures? Didn't you just agree to loan me money? It's just 10 billion. Tan Jiayu was about to cry. He said in a panic, Mr. Lin, I'm sorry, I won't pester Li Xinyu anymore, I'm sorry. HMPH, Lin Fan grunted. Liu Yuhang was pretty smart. With just a few simple sentences, he easily knew the general process of the matter. Perhaps Tan Jiayu saw Li Xinyu's beauty and began to show off his strength to win her admiration. He was lusting for Lin Fan's woman, and it was in front of Lin Fan. What a bastard! Liu Yuhang's face darkened. Waffle Corporation, the chairman's surname is Tan, right? It seems that this company has been developing too smoothly. Tan Jiayu's body trembled and he said in panic, Young Master Liu, please have mercy. Mr. Lin, Young Master Liu, I'm sorry. 552 Dinner, shopping. Compared to some factories and companies, Waffle Corporation could be considered a large company with a total asset of more than 100 million yuan. However, there was no comparison between Waffle Corporation and Liu Pharmaceuticals. The difference was between heaven and earth. Although Liu Yuhang was normally a joker, he did not put on any airs. However, he was definitely not a soft-hearted person. Liu Yuheng ignored Tan Jiayu's pleas as if he had not heard them. Lin Fan looked at the passers-by around him. They seemed to be looking at him curiously because of Tan Jiayu's voice. He frowned and said, "It's almost time for dinner, let's go eat something first. Yuheng, are there any good places?" Liu Yuheng immediately said, "Brother Lin Fan, you've asked the right person, I'll make the arrangements for lunch, what do you think? I don't have to worry about it and I can eat delicious food for free." "Of course, that's great," Lin Fan smiled. Liu Yuheng was also very happy. "Then leave it to me. Brother Lin Fan, there's only one seat in my car, I'll arrange for another car to come over." Lin Fan waved his hand. "No need, my car is over there, you can lead the way." As he spoke, he took out his car keys and pressed them lightly. Not far away, the tall and cool Cullinan immediately lit up. Then Lin Fan said to Li Xinyu, "Xinyu, are you free in the afternoon? Do you want to eat together?" Eating with Brother Lin Fan. This was something she had always dreamed of. Li Xinyu did not hesitate and immediately nodded. "I'm free." Wang Tong saw Lin Fan and Liu Yuheng reprimanding Tan Jiayu like he was their grandson. Furthermore, Liu Yuheng was driving a Lamborghini while Lin Fan was driving a Cullinan. At this moment, no matter how stupid she was, she knew that they were both very impressive rich young masters. Wang Tong could not help but say, "Ooh, can I go with you?" As she spoke, she put on a pitiful look, looking like an injured rabbit. Lin Fan did not say anything and looked at Li Xinyu. "No," Li Xinyu said directly. After saying that, she got into Lin Fan's Cullinan. Li Xinyu and Wang Tong had only been friends for a week. They were not familiar with each other at all. In the dormitory, Wang Tong had been praising Tan Jiayu in front of Li Xinyu, trying to matchmake the two of them. This had already made Li Xinyu a little unhappy. However, she did not show it and just rejected Wang Tong's request directly. Today, after Li Xinyu rejected her outright, Wang Tong found an excuse to ask her out and even created a chance encounter between her and Tan Jiayu. This made Li Xinyu feel disgusted. In Li Xinyu's mind, she had already blacklisted Wang Tong. At this moment, how could he agree to let her join them for their meal? Lin Fan heard her reply and did not stop. He stepped on the accelerator and followed the Lamborghini. A super sports car and a top-notch SUV, one after the other, they formed a beautiful scenery on the wide street, attracting the attention of many passers-by. Not long after, the three of them arrived at a restaurant called Big Pufferfish. Just as they reached the entrance of the restaurant, an alluring fragrance filled the air, making people feel like their appetite was whetted. Li Xinyu was a little confused. "Pufferfish, can we eat pufferfish, isn't it poisonous?" Lin Fan said, "Pufferfish are indeed poisonous, however only the ovaries, liver, kidneys, blood, eyes, gills, skin and other parts of the pufferfish are poisonous. Among them the ovaries and liver contain fatal poison. Therefore, when cooking pufferfish, as long as you let an experienced chef completely remove these parts, especially the ovaries and liver, you can eat without worry." His answer was very indifferent. In fact, these only apply to ordinary people. If it was Lin Fan, even if the ovaries and liver were not removed, it would not matter. That was because Lin Fan was already immune to all poisons. Hearing Lin Fan's reply, Li Xinyu's face was filled with infatuation. Erudite and talented. It was as if nothing could stop Brother Lin Fan. He was so handsome. "As expected of Brother Lin Fan," Liu Yuheng exclaimed. "You even know all this, it seems like you've already eaten pufferfish. I thought of letting you have a taste today." Lin Fan smiled. "I only saw this from other places, today is my first time eating pufferfish." Lin Fan's words could be said to be half true. This was because his knowledge about pufferfish was not obtained from other sources. It was something he learned from the system when he obtained Master Chef experience. However, Lin Fan had never eaten pufferfish before. Liu Yuheng laughed and said, "Then it seems that I brought you to the right place." After a while, a large pot of fragrant pufferfish soup was served. As the soup boiled, Liu Yuheng said, "Brother Lin Fan, Sister Xinyu, you can try the soup first. It's very sweet and delicious." The two of them took a sip of the soup. Li Xinyu's pretty face revealed a look of enjoyment that was difficult to hide. Lin Fan said, "It's delicious." Liu Yuheng was even happier. "Try the pufferfish meat," he said. "It melted in one's mouth, fresh and sweet." Li Xinyu could not help but exclaim, "It's delicious." Lin Fan nodded his head. The three of them were very happy and satisfied with the meal. It was rare for Liu Yuheng to meet Lin Fan, so he really wanted to talk to him. However, he knew that now was not the time. He might even disturb Lin Fan and Li Xinyu's time together. After lunch, Liu Yuheng found an excuse and left early. "Xinyu, have you been to Jiangbei?" Lin Fan asked. "Not yet," Li Xinyu shook her head. In fact, this was also the reason why Wang Tong had asked her out today. Lin Fan said, "Then I'll bring you around so that you can digest your food better." "All right," Li Xinyu said happily. In her heart, as long as she was with Lin Fan, she was willing to do anything. Lin Fan first brought Li Xinyu to the famous lake in Jiangbei to enjoy the beautiful scenery. Then he brought her to M Mall. When he passed by the Cartier store, he bought a necklace for Li Xinyu under the recommendation of the salesperson. After all, even Liu Yuheng had given her a gift. How could Lin Fan, her senior, not give her a gift? Today, Li Xinyu had a sweet smile on her face almost all the time. She was extremely happy. It was not because she got to see the beautiful scenery of Jiangbei, nor was it because she could experience the bustling city. It was because she met Lin Fan, had a meal with him, and received a gift from him. 553 Punish, Awards 1. When Li Xinyu returned to Jiangbei University, it was already 9 o'clock at night. "You must be thirsty, right? I just bought you a cup of milk tea." Obviously, Wang Tong was trying to ease the relationship between the two of them. The strength that Lin Fan had displayed was simply too extraordinary. "Drink it yourself," Li Xinyu said indifferently. "I'm not thirsty." After saying that, she walked away and sat on her bed. Wang Tong raised the milk tea and felt a little awkward. She gritted her teeth and came to Li Xinyu again. "Xinyu, it was my fault earlier. At that time, I thought that you didn't have a partner. After seeing Tan Jiayu, I thought he was a good person, so I wanted to introduce him to you. Since I wasn't aware of the situation, can you not be angry? I'm sorry, let's still be good friends, okay?" After Wang Tong finished speaking, she put on a pitiful look. However, this made Li Xinyu even more annoyed. She was not aware. Did she not tell her that she already had someone she liked? Of course, the most important thing was that Wang Tong had mocked Lin Fan. This was something that Li Xinyu absolutely could not forgive. "You and I have never been friends, let alone good friends," Li Xinyu said coldly. After she finished speaking, she no longer paid attention to Wang Tong. However, not long after, he relaxed again. Since Liu Yuheng was so respectful to Lin Fan, the other party was definitely not weak either. However, what did this have to do with him? At most, he would not do business with the Liu family and the Lin family in the future and earn less money. Therefore, Tan Jiayu found a clubhouse and spent the afternoon relaxing. At this moment, Tan Jiayu's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and saw that it was his father, Tan Yongxing. "Dad, why are you?" However, before he could finish speaking, Tan Yongxing's stern voice sounded from the phone. "Tan Jiayu, what the hell did you do?" This angry shout stunned Tan Jiayu. He stuttered, "I didn't do anything." "Didn't do anything? Then why did Liu Pharmaceuticals, Sun Pharmaceuticals, Song Herbal Tea, the Duan family, the Zhang family, and Wanfu Group all issue a ban on our company? I'm telling you, the goods in Waffle Corporation's hands can't be sold anymore. All the previous orders have been cancelled, even Waffle Corporation is under strict scrutiny. Waffle Corporation could go bankrupt at any time." "Tell me, what did you do?" Tan Yongxing roared. Originally, Liu Yuheng wanted to punish Waffle Corporation alone. However, after he went home to investigate, he found that Waffle Corporation had a certain amount of power. In order to punish it as soon as possible, Liu Yuheng told the future group chat about how Tan Jiaxing had offended Lin Fan. Therefore, Liu Pharmaceuticals, Sun Pharmaceuticals, Song Herbal Tea, the Duan family, the Zhang family, Wanfu Group, and many other forces launched an attack on Waffle Corporation. Any one of these forces had already far surpassed Waffle Corporation. The combined attack of the six forces could be said to be overwhelming. In just half a day, Waffle Corporation was already on the verge of collapse. What the F asterisk CK, quickly speak, Tan Yongxing called out to his son. I just wanted to pursue the girlfriend of a man named Lin Fan today. I didn't know his identity at first, but then Liu Yuheng appeared. He called Lin Fan brother Lin Fan, Tan Jiayu stuttered. Bastard, Tan Yongxing shouted angrily, immediately get your ass to the company. All right, Tan Jiayu said. Therefore, Tan Jiayu rushed to Waffle Corporation without stopping. When he arrived at the chairman's office, Tan Yongxing hung up the phone dejectedly. When he looked up and saw Tan Jiayu, he roared, unfilial son. He strode forward and kicked Tan Jiayu to the ground. The company that I've worked so hard for half my life has been destroyed by you just like that. As he spoke, Tan Yongxing punched and kicked Tan Jiayu again. Lin Fan was completely oblivious to all of this. For the rest of the day, he was at Coiling Dragon Villa and Jiangbei University as usual. On this day when Lin Fan walked into the office, it was abnormally noisy. Zia Bing Zia Zhu, you guys are amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations, congratulations. Lin Fan smiled and asked, what is it? Tell me so I can be happy. Liu Kaiyanqian said, Zia Bing and Zia Zhu have been selected for the International Computer Creation Award. Oh, Lin Fan's eyes lit up as he said sincerely, good job. On the one hand, he was happy that Zia Bing and Zia Zhu had won the award. On the other hand, he had never forgotten that his mission was to let his students win 3 international awards. With this, the mission was completed by 1/3. After Zia Bing and Zia Zhu heard Lin Fan's praise, their faces instantly turned red like ripe tomatoes. They became extremely happy and excited. In their hearts, no award could compare to Lin Fan's praise. At this moment, Hao Jiwu shouted excitedly, ha ha ha, I won the award, I won the award. Everyone could not help but look in his direction. What award did you receive? Liu Kaiyanqian asked. The International Neuroscience Research Award, Hao Jiwu said excitedly. When Lin Fan heard that, his eyes lit up, not bad. It was another international award. The mission was 2/3 completed. After the news of 3 people winning international awards, the atmosphere in the office became even more intense. Zia Bing and Zia Zhu wanted to work harder and get more awards. This way, Lin Fan would continue to praise them. Liu Kaiyanqian, Nai Zhenjiang, and Jiang Keiaquan felt the pressure because they had not won an award yet. Therefore, they worked even harder. Originally, only Hao Jiwu was the most relaxed. However, he was affected by the atmosphere in the office and could not help but enter a state of hard work. A day passed in the blink of an eye. When the school bell rang, Lin Fan stood up and was about to announce the end of today's class. At this moment, Jiang Keiaquan exclaimed excitedly, I won an award. He won the International Polymers Research Award. Congratulations! Our class is celebrating 3 wins today. I suggest we celebrate tonight, how about that? The office was filled with praise. Liu Kaiyanqian and Nai Zhenjiang congratulated Jiang Keiaquan as well, but the pressure in their hearts increased. They were the only ones who had not won an award. Lin Fan's eyes lit up even more. 3. His students had won 3 international awards in one fell swoop. Once they received the awards, he would be able to complete the mission. Lin Fan said happily, that's right, we have 3 happy occasions to celebrate. Tonight I'll bring everyone out for some delicious food. Hooray, everyone shouted in unison. Those who won an award were naturally happy. Those who did not win an award wanted to eat delicious food. They instantly threw the annoyance in their hearts to the side. Among them, Zia Bing and Zia Zhu were the happiest. That was because they had the chance to eat with Lin Fan again. Lin Fan only drove the Cullinan, and 7 people could not fit inside. Fortunately, Hao Jiwu had bought a second-hand Volkswagen not long ago, so they could take 2 cars. Under Lin Fan's lead, they soon arrived at Big Pufferfish. The last time Liu Yuheng brought Lin Fan here to eat, Lin Fan remembered the taste of the food. Yesterday, he had wanted to come over for another meal and he had the chance to do so today. Pufferfish, is it delicious? Hao Zhu asked. Lin Fan smiled. You'll find out later. The pufferfish meal was served relatively slowly. All the pufferfish were killed and processed on the spot. The process was very complicated. The chef absolutely could not be careless about the preparation. About half an hour later, a large pot of pufferfish soup was served. When the waiter opened the lid of the pot, the aroma instantly entered everyone's nose and mouth. Hao Zhu, Nai Junjiang, and the others could not help but swallow their saliva. Lin Fan smiled. Why are you still starring? Hurry up and eat it. All right, everyone responded. Everyone picked up some pufferfish meat and put it in their mouths. It's so delicious, Hao Zhu praised sincerely. I finally know what melt in the mouth means. Everyone was very happy during the meal. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. On this day, Lin Fan drove the Cullinan back to Qing City and brought his parents to Jiangbei. Then he drove Lin Xiaoyao, Lin Tao, and Dai Weixu to Jiangbei International Airport. Lin Tao and Dai Weixu had specially changed into brand new white clothes, appearing very solemn. They were going overseas with Lin Fan to attend the Nobel Prize award ceremony. Compared to Lin Tao and Dai Weixu's solemnity and nervousness, Lin Xiaoyao was busy looking around, curious about everything. This was her first time taking a plane, and it was her first time at the airport. At this moment, 3 flight attendants from Zia Airlines walked over. Under the warm welcome of the stewardess, Lin Fan, Lin Xiaoyao, Lin Tao, and Dai Weixu arrived in front of the luxurious plane. Mr. Lin and family, welcome aboard Zia Airlines. 2 rows of long-legged air stewardesses stood on both sides of the red carpet in front of the luxury plane and shouted in unison. Lin Fan was already used to such scenes, so he was not surprised. Lin Tao and Dai Weixu were at a loss. Lin Xiaoyao's face was filled with excitement and curiosity. After entering the luxurious private jet, Lin Xiaoyao was even more excited when the abalone, lobster, sea cucumber, bird's nest, lafite, and other delicacies and wines were served. Delicious. This lobster is so big. Dad, Mom, try this beef. Brother, there's so much delicious food on the plane, no wonder everyone likes going on flights. Lin Xiaoyao would let out excited cries from time to time, causing the empty plane to become a little more lively. About 10 hours later, the luxury plane finally stopped in Pothom, Sweden. At this moment, 3 Audis had already stopped here. A middle-aged man wearing glasses and a white shirt who looked full of wisdom strode forward when he saw the plane landing. Professor Lin, it must have been a tiring journey. Welcome to Sweden. I am Liu Zihao, an official in Sweden. Lin Fan said. It wasn't tiring, we were resting on the plane. Mr. Liu, you came to pick us up early in the morning, it's been hard on you. Lin Fan was not being modest or polite when he said this. His words came from the bottom of his heart. That was because the private luxury plane was like a moving castle that could give him the best enjoyment. How could he be tired? On the other hand, Liu Zihao's forehead was still dripping with sweat. Clearly, he had been waiting quite some time. This was normal. After all, Lin Fan came here on a private plane. He could only estimate the time and could not be sure. This meant that the pickup person had to arrive early. Mr. Lin, you're too kind, said Liu Zihao. He first shook hands with Lin Fan, then shook hands with Lin Tao, Dai Weixu, and Lin Xiaoyao. Why don't we get in the car first? All right, Lin Fan said. The doors of this Audi were very thick. Whether it was the softness of the seats or the soundproofing effect, they were far better than an ordinary Audi. Obviously, it had been specially modified. Before I came, I heard that you were very young, Liu Zihao said. I was already mentally prepared, but I was still shocked when I saw you. It's really hard to imagine that you've achieved so much at such a young age. The Nobel Prize is the most dazzling award in the academic world. In history, no one has ever won multiple Nobel Prizes at the same time, but you won 4. Professor Lin, you're the pride of Hua Nation. Liu Zihao's voice was very sincere without any intention of flattery. When he reached the end of his sentence, there was an unconcealable excitement in his tone. He had been stationed in Sweden for several years, and he had always been looking forward to the day when someone from Hua Nation would win the Nobel Prize. Now it had finally become reality. Moreover, it was a reality that far exceeded his expectations. Even Lin Fan could not help but feel embarrassed when he was praised in front of his parents and sister. He touched his nose and said, "Actually, this is nothing." It was nothing. Even winning one Nobel Prize was already a very impressive feat. Lin Fan had won 4 of them, but he said that it was nothing. "Professor Lin, you're too modest," Liu Zihao said. Lin Xiaoyao, Lin Tao, and Dai Weixu listened to Liu Zihao's praise of Lin Fan. Their hearts were filled with joy and pride. Their family was the pride of Hua Nation. At this moment, Liu Zihao said, "Professor Lin, there's something else I wonder if I can negotiate with you." Lin Fan asked, "What is it?" Lin Zihao said, "The TV station has sent a group of reporters. They want to broadcast tomorrow's Nobel Prize ceremony live. They know that you don't like to be exposed, so they promised not to record you. So I came to ask for your opinion." Generally speaking, this kind of live broadcast only needed the approval of the Nobel Prize organizers. Why would they need the consent of the winner? Furthermore, they would not film Lin Fan. However, Liu Zihao received a notice that he had to ask Lin Fan. The media had already been informed that Lin Fan did not like to show his face or be exposed. How glorious was it to win 4 Nobel Prizes at the same time? It could definitely be called a historic moment. Logically speaking, it had to be recorded and broadcasted live, but because of Lin Fan's preferences, the rules changed. It had to be said that the TV station had shown Lin Fan the greatest respect. Lin Fan nodded, "It's fine as long as they don't film me." Just as the reporters thought, he really did not like exposure. However, it was not a problem for them to avoid shooting his face. In addition, the reporter's good attitude also made Lin Fan feel satisfied. When Lin Zihao heard this, a look of joy appeared on his face. A moment later, the 3 Audis stopped at the Royal Hotel. The Royal Hotel today was much livelier than usual today. There were many cameras at the entrance, and the flashes were constantly going off at the many men and women in suits and leather shoes entering and leaving the hotel. When the reporters saw Liu Zihao and Lin Fan, they could not wait to focus their cameras on them. Dense flashes of light rained down on them. "Are you Professor Lin Fan? How do you feel about winning 4 Nobel Prizes? Which direction will you research in the future? How do you usually study? You..." Countless questions flooded in. It caused the entrance of the Royal Hotel to become noisy. Even though Lin Fan had never been exposed in any media before, the reporters recognized Liu Zihao. Moreover, they knew that Liu Zihao would be picking Lin Fan up today. Thus, they could easily determine Lin Fan's identity. Lin Fan ignored all of these questions. Firstly, he did not like to be interviewed, it was troublesome. Secondly, he never liked to answer English questions. These reporters all asked questions in English. After some time, Liu Zihao finally led Lin Fan, Lin Xiaoyao, and the others through the door and toward the luxurious suite. The reporters were disappointed. However, very soon, they were filled with excitement again. This was because they had obtained photos of the most mysterious genius, Lin Fan. However, when they opened the memory card, they realized that all the photos and videos of Lin Fan had disappeared. Did they forget to store them? The reporters could not help but feel regretful. How would they know that everything was deleted by the super smart watch? After Liu Zihao sent Lin Fan, Lin Xiaoyao, and the others into the luxurious suite, he did not stay there for long. He knew that Lin Fan had just taken a 10-hour flight and needed to rest. After Liu Zihao left, Lin Xiaoyao looked at the wide, bright floor-to-ceiling window and the blue sea in the distance. She could not help but shout excitedly. "Wow, brother, this hotel is amazing. It was so beautiful. Brother, quickly come and take a few photos for me." Lin Fan smiled and said, "All right." Soon, Lin Xiaoyao stood up and said, "Brother, what kind of photos did you take for me? Are my legs that short?" Also, I blinked, why didn't you say anything? Lin Fan rubbed his nose helplessly. It was so difficult to be an elder brother. After a while, the crisp doorbell rang outside. Respected Professor Lin, hello, I hope I didn't disturb your rest. At the door, a blond, blue-eyed, middle-aged man spoke in fluent Chinese. Lin Fan said, hello, may I know who you are? I'm Des Martin, the chairman of Des Energy. The middle-aged man continued, do I have the chance to invite you to the cafe on the third floor for a cup of coffee? The chairman of Des Energy. If it were an ordinary person, they would definitely be shocked when they heard this name. Even if this ordinary person was a Nobel Prize winner. This was because Des Energy was the #1 giant in the oil and chemical industry. Des Energy was not listed, and its exact financial report was a secret. However, even Apple, Google, and other companies were nothing in front of it. One could imagine just how terrifying its power was. Lin Fan raised his eyes and said, sorry, I don't like coffee. If you have something to say, you can just say it here. Des Martin was slightly stunned. He had probably never invited anyone for coffee before only to get rejected. After a while, he said, Professor Lin from the earthquake prediction device, the human islet recovery drug, the carbon-based photolithographic machine, the super batteries, and other high-tech products that you invented, I know that you're a great scientist who protects the environment and loves peace. Lin Fan frowned and asked, so why are you looking for me? Des Martin seemed to sense that Lin Fan was getting impatient. Therefore, he went straight to the point. We, Daisy Energy, have the most chemical and energy materials in the world. We can expand and promote super batteries in the smoothest and fastest way. We can allow the world to use and embrace clean energy faster and make the Earth's environment better as soon as possible. I wonder if you have any plans to sell the battery patent. We, Des Energy, are willing to spend $500 billion to buy the patent. First, he said that it was for the sake of mankind and the environment. Then he offered a sky-high price of $500 billion. Great righteousness and great benefits. It had to be said that Des Martin had good negotiation skills. If it were an ordinary person, they might really be tempted. However, Lin Fan just said calmly, sorry, I don't. After saying that, he returned to his room and closed the door. Sell. Firstly, Lin Fan had no intention of selling the patent. He was not short of money. So what if he had an extra $500 billion? It would just add a little more to his account. Secondly, even if he were to sell it, he would definitely not sell it overseas. As for the nonsense about the environment and the earth, Lin Fan threw it to the back of his mind. If he loved the environment and the earth so much, would it not be better to shut down all the factories of Des Energy immediately? Des Martin's visit was only the beginning. Then the presidents of Tesla, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and Asiacom also knocked on Lin Fan's door and talked about cooperation. Some were like Des Martin, proposing to acquire the patent, while some invited Lin Fan to join their organization. A few invited Lin Fan to take up a position. At the start, Lin Fan rejected and responded to them one by one. However, as the number of people increased, Lin Fan felt that it was too troublesome. Therefore, he hung a Do Not Disturb sign at the door. The entire world finally returned to silence. Today, Lin Fan stayed in the luxurious suite and chatted with his parents and sister. He tasted the dishes that the attendants served and looked at the beautiful scenery outside the window. He was extremely satisfied. In the blink of an eye, it was the second day. Of course, when Lin Fan opened the door, he found Liu Zihao waiting for him at the door. Lin Fan said, I accidentally slept a little longer. You must have waited long. Liu Zihao waved his hand. Professor Lin, you must be tired from the long journey yesterday. You should have a good rest. Besides, I've only been here for a while. Should I ask the attendant to bring breakfast up, or should we go down together? I've already asked the waiter to bring breakfast, Lin Fan said. He knew that if he went downstairs, he would be pestered by some people. It was too troublesome. Liu Zihao nodded. That's good. Let's get the makeup artist to help you confirm your style first. I still need to get makeup done. Lin Fan was stunned. Liu Zihao said, after all, it's an international awards ceremony. Makeup can make one look more energetic and handsome. Lin Fan said, but I'm already handsome enough. Lin Xiaoyao, who was in the luxurious suite, heard the voices and walked over. She smiled and said, "Brother, who would complain about being more handsome?" "Why does it feel like you just want to see me with makeup on?" Lin Fan asked. The smile on Lin Xiao's face widened. Obviously this was the truth. At this moment Dai Weixu and Lin Tao also walked out. "Lil Fan, just put on makeup, you might even be on TV later," Lin Tao said. "Yeah," Dai Weixu said. Lin Fan really wanted to say that even if he appeared on TV, his front profile would not be shot. However, since his parents had spoken, he naturally had to listen. Lin Fan nodded and said, "All right, let's put on makeup then." After Liu Zihao heard Lin Fan agree, his face lit up. He said to the beautiful woman beside him, "Sorry to trouble you." "It's all right," the beautiful makeup artist said. The beautiful makeup artist and Lin Fan had a simple discussion about makeup. At this moment, the attendant pushed the dining cart over. "Professor Lin, please have your breakfast first," Liu Zihao said. "All right," Lin Fan replied. Nuts, egg rolls, bread, beef slices, chicken cubes, egg tarts, crab rolls. There were many types, but the amount was very small. This made Lin Xiao, who liked to taste fresh food, extremely satisfied. After eating his fill, Lin Fan went to the dressing table. It had to be said that the beautiful makeup artist was quite capable. Light red lips, refreshing hairstyle, and a brand new suit. Lin Fan, who was already handsome, seemed to have turned into the perfect male lead in a youth romance drama. Even Lin Xiao, who had been with him all day long, could not help but open her mouth wide and praise, "Brother, you're so handsome." Lin Fan said, "When am I not handsome?" Lin Xiao did not care much. She quickly took out her phone and gestured with her hands. "Brother, let's take a group photo, let's smile together." In the photo, Lin Fan's face was calm while Lin Xiao was smiling brightly. Lin Xiao pouted. "One more." Lin Fan replied with a smile. Lin Xiao made a peace sign again. Seeing the photo, Lin Xiao nodded in satisfaction. How would she know that these were the only 2 photos of Lin Fan in the world in the past 2 years? "Professor Lin, it's almost time, why don't we go over first?" Liu Zihao asked. Lin Fan nodded. "Dad, Mom, let's go." All right, Lin Tao and Dai Weixu responded. At this moment, the 3 Audis from yesterday were already waiting in the parking lot. About 10 minutes later, the ancient and towering buildings appeared before his eyes. It was the Golden Hall. The Golden Hall was an ancient building in Sweden. It was only open during the Nobel Prize ceremony. At this moment, in front of the Golden Hall Square, there were many foreigners, people holding lanterns, singing, or holding banners. The banners read, "Congratulations to Professor Lin Fan for winning 4 Nobel Prizes." It was extremely lively, just like the Spring Festival. Lin Fan, Lin Xiao, Lin Tao, Dai Weixu and the rest all looked over curiously. If it was in Hua Nation, it would be fine. However, this was overseas. This surprised everyone. Liu Zihao said, "The Hua Nation students in Sweden know that Professor Lin has won 4 Nobel Prizes, so they came from all over to celebrate. It seems that they started dancing and beating drums here 2 days ago." When Lin Fan and the rest heard this, their hearts warmed up for some reason. Even though they were far away from home, they could still feel the touch and warmth brought by the same bloodline. Finally, the Audis slowly stopped at the entrance of the Golden Hall. After showing their identification and going through the relevant security checks, Lin Fan and the rest finally walked in. The exterior of the Golden Hall was very ancient, and the interior was also filled with a sense of history. There were many guests in the Golden Hall today. As far as the eye could see, it was filled densely. Greetings and laughter rang out. The entire Golden Hall became extremely noisy. Due to the long construction time, the designer at that time probably did not expect this building to be the host of a world-renowned top-class event. As a result, the area of the Golden Hall was not too big, making the current banquet hall seem a little crowded. "So many people," Lin Xiao could not help but say. "But this place has red walls, why is it called Golden Hall?" Liu Zihao, who was beside her, said, "Someone said that the designer originally planned to design it in gold. However, it seems that due to financial reasons the project was suspended, so it looks like this now." Lin Xiao blinked her big eyes and said in disbelief, So this is an unfinished building. Liu Zihao was speechless. Unfinished building. The Nobel Prize award ceremony was held in an unfinished building. If others heard this, they would probably be speechless. Liu Zihao coughed dryly and said, "Perhaps we can call it an imperfect romance." Imperfect romance. Lin Xiaoyao pursed her lips and said, "A cultured person really knows how to lie to himself." Liu Zihao could not help but let out another dry cough. He pretended as if he had not heard Lin Xiaoyao's words. He did not say anything else. Eh? When Lin Fan, Lin Xiaoyao, Liu Zihao, and the others walked into the Golden Hall, the host Xiao Bing was standing in front of the camera with a microphone. She smiled and said, "Hello to the audience in front of the TV. I'm the host, Xiao Bing. Today, I'm honored to be here at the Nobel Prize award ceremony in Sweden. Today, Professor Lin Fan will receive the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, Medicine, Physics, and the Nobel Peace Prize. I believe that most of the viewers have heard of Professor Lin Fan's name, however, you may not know much about him. Let me give you a simple introduction to Professor Lin Fan's contributions. Mathematics is the foundation of all scientific research. Professor Lin Fan solved Joule's conjecture, the twin prime number conjecture, Hale's conjecture, Hodge's conjecture, Riemann's hypothesis, and many other difficult problems that had plagued the world for hundreds of years. He had even won the Fields Medal. Physics contains the secrets of the world. Professor Lin Fan developed an earthquake prediction device that allows us to predict geological changes just like how we predict the weather. This greatly reduces the damage that nature does to us. Chemistry is the magical transformation of everything. Professor Lin Fan invented super batteries and other high-tech products, allowing us to use cleaner and more efficient energy. Medicine contains the password of the human body. Professor Lin Fan developed the human islet recovery drug, allowing hundreds of millions of diabetes patients to see the dawn of health. Xiao Bing's voice rose and fell in a high pitch. She was extremely excited, and even her pretty face turned red. In fact, Xiao Bing was not the only one who was excited. The audience sitting in front of the screen was equally excited. Today, all the major video websites were broadcasting the live broadcast. As the audience listened to Xiao Bing's words and watched the lively scene, their moods surged. Countless bullet comments poured down like rain. Prodigal son, Xiao Bing, I love you. Zhang Bei, I'm too excited. I can't believe Professor Lin Fan won 4 Nobel Prizes. Also, Xiao Bing is mine. Stone, Xiao Bing's introduction is really awesome. Useless scholar, I heard that the parents of the winners can also go to the Nobel Prize award ceremony. From now on, I have to nurture my child well. Love you forever, it's so lively. Person in the mirror wears Professor Lin Fan. I don't think I've ever seen his photos or videos on the internet. I wonder if I'll have the chance today. Dejected, I haven't seen his face either. Xingha will definitely be able to see him today. At this time, Xiao Bing suddenly said, "That's Mr. Liu Zihao, the young man beside him. It's Professor Lin Fan." Then the camera locked onto Lin Fan's back. The bullet comments in the live broadcast room instantly filled the entire screen. Heart like still water, is this Professor Lin Fan? Although it's just his back view, he looks so handsome. NEO, didn't they say that scientists have receding hairlines, but Professor Lin Fan's hair is so thick. Fate, I love you. Snowflower, I'm begging you to show Professor Lin Fan's face. 1, 2, 3, he's so handsome. Lin Fan was completely oblivious to all of this. In fact, there were many other reporters at the scene. They all turned on their cameras to record the scene. They kept sweeping the camera across everyone. All of these cameras, without exception, would have their signals cut off when they landed on Lin Fan. At this moment, a burst of light music sounded in the huge golden hall. Then an old man wearing glasses who looked extremely gentlemanly and intelligent slowly walked onto the stage. He cleared his throat and spoke in English. "Thank you very much for coming all the way to the Golden Hall to attend this year's Nobel Prize award ceremony. I'm Alders, and I'm very honored to be the host of this year's Nobel Prize." The venue immediately erupted into a round of applause. Many people might not know Alders. However, most of the people who participated in the Nobel Prize were famous scholars or people of high status. They knew that Alders was a great scholar and a member of the royal family of Switzerland. It could be said that he was a person with both knowledge and status. With him as the host, it showed the importance he attached to this year's Nobel Prize. After a while, Alders said, "Scientific research and literature are long and boring. It's hard to see results in a short period of time. Our Mr. Nobel is one of such researchers. He knows these hardships very well. Therefore, before he died, he selflessly kept all his wealth. He wanted to let all researchers have the opportunity to research, create, and learn without having to worry about food." Today, we'll follow Mr. Nobel's wishes and award medals to scientific researchers and writers who have made great contributions to physics, chemistry, medicine, peace, literature, and so on. The venue once again erupted into extremely enthusiastic applause. Everyone's heart started to beat faster. Lin Xiaoyao, who was standing beside Lin Fan, whispered, "Brother, I'm suddenly so nervous. What should I do? I feel like peeing." Lin Fan rolled his eyes and said, "It's not like you're going to receive an award. What are you nervous about? It should be because you drank too much black tea in the morning. The bathroom seems to be in that direction. Go." Lin Xiaoyao shook her head and said, "That won't do. The award ceremony is about to start. I'll endure it." Lin Fan smiled and shook his head. "Eh?" In front of the camera, Xiao Bing said excitedly, "Everyone, according to the procedure, it should be the official award ceremony next. Please don't miss it." As she spoke, her entire pretty face became even redder. "Rhea, finally it's time for the awards. Black and white, hurry up, Professor Lin, come on stage. Invisible, I'm so excited. Free as the wind, Professor Lin is awesome." Eh? After the applause ended, Alders took a deep breath. Under everyone's gaze, he slowly reached out and flipped open the thick cover page in front of him. The winner of this year's Nobel Prize in Physics is 558. Congratulations, Professor Lin, too miserly. Amidst the audience's anticipation, Alders finally spoke. The person who won this year's Nobel Prize in Physics is Hua Nation's Lin Fan. Immediately, thunderous applause rang out. After a long time, the applause gradually stopped. Usually, after the winner was announced, the winner would go on stage. Winners would be announced. This time, however, the winner of this year's Nobel Prize in Chemistry is Hua Nation's Lin Fan. Another round of applause resounded throughout the entire Golden Hall. The winner of this year's Nobel Prize in Medicine is Hua Nation's Lin Fan. The winner of this year's Nobel Peace Prize is Hua Nation's Lin Fan. Alders' voice was getting louder and louder. The applause from the audience also became more and more enthusiastic. Xiao Bing, who was in front of the camera, seemed to be infected by the atmosphere and said excitedly, "Hello to the audience in front of the TV. As everyone can see, Professor Lin Fan has won 4 Nobel Prizes. Let us congratulate him with our sincerest blessings. Time is merciless. Congratulations, Professor Lin Fan. Low profile, congratulations, Professor Lin Fan. Forever, congratulations, Professor Lin Fan. Demon Lord, congratulations, Professor Lin Fan. Chasing her in the wind, congratulations to Professor Lin Fan." The dense blessings flooded the entire live stream like a tidal wave. After a long time, the applause finally stopped. Professor Lin Fan from Hua Nation is here to receive the award. Let's welcome the King of Sweden, King Kasf, to the stage to present the award. The applause at the venue instantly reached its climax. The mysterious Professor Lin Fan was finally going up on stage. The king was personally presenting the award. Finally, under everyone's anticipation and in front of all the cameras, Lin Fan and the luxuriously dressed King Kasf slowly walked onto the stage. At this moment, the red golden hall was directly illuminated by the flashing lights. King Kasf shook hands with Lin Fan and then picked up the Nobel Prizes beside him. Congratulations. Lin Fan was given the 4 medals one by one, and a smile appeared on his face. He was not happy because he won the Nobel Prize. It was because a crisp notification sounded out in Lin Fan's mind. Ding, mission completed, obtained 5 international awards. Reward 5 golden packets. Lin Fan had received the mission long ago, but he had not been able to complete it. Now it was finally over. Xiao Bing, who was in front of the camera, shouted excitedly, King Casf personally awarded Professor Lin Fan the Nobel Prize in Physics, Chemistry, Medicine, and Peace. Please remember this historic moment. In the live broadcast room, King Feng, cameraman, quickly focused the camera on Professor Lin Fan. Zhang Wenbai, I'm so anxious. I want to see Professor Lin Fan's face. I want to see Professor Lin Fan win the Nobel Prize. Waiter, is this cameraman a newcomer? Bin, complaint, I have a complaint. This is the first time I've seen such a trashy cameraman. Shadowless, quickly, I want to see Professor Lin Fan. 123 wood, the cameraman's salary is at stake. Compared to the anxiety in Hua Nation's live broadcast rooms, the live broadcast rooms of other countries were even more filled with curses. CS, what the F asterisk CK, what's wrong with the signal? It's time for the award ceremony. I want to watch the award ceremony. Jack, fuck, I told you those people from the television station are a bunch of idiots who are just waiting to die. Look at what they've done. There's no signal during the award ceremony. Hurry up and fix it. Jay, I'm gonna file a complaint. Mark, don't tell me that the camera just happened to malfunction. Lin Fan had no idea what was happening on the internet. After he accepted the medals, he returned to his seat. The cameras of the major television stations gradually shifted away from Lin Fan. It was also at this moment that the signal was reconnected. KKKK, what the fuck, Professor Lin Fan's segment has ended. I've been watching the live stream for a few hours to see Professor Lin Fan. Now, there's nothing else. Houston, hurry up and fire all these useless reporters. Fang, I've never seen such rubbish equipment. On the stage, Alder said loudly, the winner of this year's Nobel Prize in Literature is Japes Yamamoto Chuen. The winner of this year's Nobel Prize in Economics is Kathleen from Nashland. 2 rounds of applause rang out, but these 2 rounds were obviously much weaker than the previous rounds. Congratulations, Nobel Prize laureates, Alders said. Now let's enjoy some champagne and delicious food. Hundreds of champagne bottles were opened at the same time and the liquid gushed out, making the entire golden hall seem to be filled with a sweet scent. Under the guidance of the staff, Lin Fan came to the innermost table and sat down. The dining table was not luxurious. In fact, it could be said to be very simple. However, all the people sitting at the same table had extraordinary identities and were the main characters of this award ceremony. There were the host, Alders, King Casf, Yamamoto Chuen, who won the Nobel Prize in Literature, and Kathleen, who won the Nobel Prize in Economics. Soon all kinds of delicacies were served. On the other hand, Lin Xiaoyao, Lin Tao, Dai Weixu, and Liu Zihao also came to the hall to sit down under the guidance of the staff. When the food was served, Lin Xiaoyao did not hesitate and stuffed it into her mouth. When the food in front of her was finished, Lin Xiaoyao said, the speed is so slow. Liu Zihao, who was next to her, said, all the dishes have been served. That's it, Lin Xiaoyao widened her eyes. A small piece of beef, a small snack, and a soup, that's it. Aren't they too stingy? I'm not full yet. Liu Zihao's mouth twitched. Stingy. This was probably the first time someone had said that the Nobel Prize banquet was stingy. He really wanted to say that the people who came here to eat would not care about what they ate or whether they were full. More importantly, they would take the opportunity to chat with those at the same table as them. This was because anyone who could eat here had a powerful background. If they were to exchange a few words with the other party, they might receive unimaginable help in the future. Could she not see that there were so many people talking and chatting with each other? 559 Discussion, curses. The banquet lasted until 9 p.m. before it slowly came to an end. I guessed it, Lin Fan smiled and said, let's go, I've already gotten someone to prepare supper. Brother, you're amazing, Lin Xiaoyao said happily and hugged Lin Fan's arm. After a while, they arrived at a restaurant that was decorated very grandly. Just as Lin Fan had said, he had already gotten someone to prepare supper. In just 2 minutes, hot skewers, roasted meat, and casserole were served. Delicious. It was so delicious. Lin Xiao could not help but praise. Dai Weixu said, "Eat slowly, don't burn yourself." Lin Fan spent the next 2 days with his parents and sister in Pothom. Then he took a luxurious private jet back to Hua Nation. In the spacious Coiling Dragon Villa, Lin Fan immediately placed his attention on the golden packets. He muttered, "Let's see what I can get." Open. Ding, congratulations, you've received 500,000 yuan. Ding, congratulations, you've received a double shares coupon. Ding, congratulations, you've obtained 10 cubic meters of inner space. Ding, congratulations, you've received 900,000 yuan. He immediately focused his attention on the 10 cubic meters of inner space. Instantly, a white space appeared in Lin Fan's mind. It was extremely mystical. He had a very strange feeling that this space was like his hands and feet, and he could use it easily. Then Lin Fan turned his gaze to the cup of water beside him. In the next moment, the cup appeared in the white space. With another thought, the cup appeared on the table again. Seeing this, even Lin Fan could not help but reveal a smile that he could not hide. He grinned and said, "I didn't waste so much time going to Sweden to receive the Nobel Prize." If other scholars heard this, who knew what kind of expression they would have? Wasting time to get the Nobel Prize. In this world, everyone wanted a chance to receive the Nobel Prize. After a while, Lin Fan finally turned his attention back to the double shares coupon. Let's go with the alphabet. Ding, the coupon was successfully used. You now own a total of 20% of Alphabet Group shares. Then Lin Fan sat on the sofa and continued to play with his phone leisurely. He was relaxed, but some people were extremely nervous. Alphabet Group's headquarters. Zhang Daming was working hard in his office. At this moment, an email suddenly popped up in the lower right corner of the computer. In the next moment, Zhang Daming's pupils constricted, and his face was filled with anxiety. What should we do? Alphabet Group was founded by Zhang Daming and was his lifeblood. Now, a large number of shares were being bought by another person. How could he not be anxious? Zhang Daming walked around the office a few times. Could it be that Mr. Lin is still not satisfied with what happened last time? Yes, that must be it. Thinking of this, Zhang Daming quickly made a call. Send out the mission. Anyone who criticizes the streamer Hai Yan will get double the traffic. As a result, after a few weeks, many videos criticizing and mocking Hai Yan appeared on Douyin again. Originally, Li Heiyan thought that the matter had stopped. In the end, as soon as she left the house, she was pointed at by countless people. This made Li Heiyan want to go for plastic surgery. On the other hand, the video about the Nobel Prize award ceremony was still being discussed. Moving brick, I suddenly realized that it's good enough we were shown a video of Lin Fan's back. I went to the internet and searched. When Lin Fan was awarded the Nobel Prize, all the cameras of TV stations from other countries malfunctioned. There are no videos or photos of Lin Fan. Mo Wen, yes, the reporters are being cursed out by the entire internet. Ordinary person, what's going on with the current situation? When Lin Fan held his report, he wasn't caught by the cameras either. Could it be that the cameras were broken? Is it always so coincidental? Long this, how did Lin Fan do it? Free dream, does Lin Fan know magic? Hong, magic? With that kind of brain, would he still need to use magic? I think it should be some kind of high-tech product, such as some kind of special lens sensor. Sleepless, I'm getting more and more curious about what Lin Fan looks like. Skyscraper, I heard from a teacher at Jiangbei University that Mr. Lin Fan is very handsome. He's definitely a Prince Charming. 321 Go, is there a need to say that? Just by looking at his back, one can tell that he's a handsome man who's 1.8 meters tall. 10,000 years with a glance. Back view, Jiangbei University. Speaking of this, did you guys notice that his back view seems a little familiar? Period. Now that you mention it, it does look a little familiar. Best player, F***CK. I realized that the guy who was accused of theft at Jiangbei University looks very similar to Lin Fan. Their backs are exactly the same. When someone mentioned this matter, it immediately attracted the attention of many people. Some experts even compared the two backs and found that their height, body shape, and heads were all exactly the same. Instantly, everyone understood that the man who was slandered back then was Lin Fan. When everyone came to this conclusion, the discussions on the internet became even more heated. Eastlake F***CK, it's really the same guy. Paper masked man, so Tang Yuan was slandering Lin Fan. Head of department? I actually said that it was a little too serious for the university to give him a major demerit, place him on probation, and even send him to the police to be arrested and detained. Now, it seems his punishment is too light. Immortal Lin Fan is our pride, why would he be a thief, pa? Simple, I say that Tang Yuan should be severely punished. If it was at that time, I strongly recommend that Tang Yuan be severely punished. Clear water, I strongly recommend that Tang Yuan be severely punished. It had been several days since the slander. The internet had no memory. Generally speaking, as long as the matter was over, it would completely be forgot. Today, however, Tang Yuan's name reappeared on the list of trending searches. He received even more intense criticism than before. 560 long way to go. Lin Fan did not care about the discussions on the internet. When Lin Fan heard that, he slowly stood up and opened the door. He saw the director of the Institute of Science, Feng Jixiang, was standing at the door with a smile on his face. He cupped his hands and said, "Professor Lin, congratulations on winning the Nobel Prize in Physics, Chemistry, Medicine, and Peace. You've made history in one fell swoop. Congratulations." Perhaps Lin Fan had heard too many similar congratulations. Therefore Lin Fan appeared very calm and said, "Thank you." Then he said, "Come in and sit for a while." The smile on Feng Jixiang's face widened. "Haha, thanks." At this moment the coffee table was filled with the rich fragrance of spirit tea. It was elegant and refreshing. Feng Jixiang inhaled lightly, and his entire body seemed to relax a lot. Even though Feng Jixiang had drunk a lot of good tea at this moment, he could not help but feel his throat go dry. He swallowed his saliva. Lin Fan said, "If you're thirsty, there's a disposable cup in the drawer, you can pour it yourself." Feng Jixiang did not stand on ceremony and said, "All right." As he spoke, he could not wait to pour himself a cup of spirit tea. After drinking the tea, he instantly felt relaxed and carefree to the extreme. He felt like he had been trapped in the desert but suddenly drank a glass of ice water. Therefore, Feng Jixiang could not help but pour himself another cup of spirit tea. After drinking 2 cups of spirit tea, Feng Jixiang praised sincerely, "Good tea." Feng Jixiang rubbed his hands and said, "Oh, it's like this. The controllable nuclear fusion factory should be completed today. The controllable nuclear fusion technology you mentioned last time." When Lin Fan heard Feng Jixiang's words, his eyes lit up. He asked in a surprised tone, "Can it be completed today?" This was related to his mission. Lin Fan clearly remembered that there were 3 tasks for this mission. They were to build a 10,000-acre controllable nuclear fusion plant, own a tokamak device, and read 4 books. Lin Fan had already completed the last 2. Now, there was only the 10,000-acre controllable nuclear fusion plant left. It had only been 2 to 3 months since the construction of the factory was arranged. The construction was completed so quickly. Feng Jixiang nodded. "Yes, strictly speaking, all the equipment has been installed. You just need to find an opportunity to cut the ribbon and you can announce the completion." You didn't cut corners, right? Although Lin Fan wanted to complete the mission as soon as possible, he definitely did not want to invite trouble by cutting corners just to finish the construction as soon as possible. Everything was built according to high standards. There'll definitely be no quality problems, Feng Jixiang immediately guaranteed. It's just that we have more people building it so the speed is faster. Lin Fan nodded in satisfaction and said, "All right, let's go cut the ribbon." "All right," Feng Jixiang said. The Audi and the Cullinan continued to drive toward the suburbs. Not long after, a group of tall buildings appeared in front of them. Lin Fan still remembered the first time he came here. There was only a narrow, bumpy road and a few dilapidated factories. It had only been 2 months, but Yaobai Road, which had 8 lanes in both directions, and a large nuclear fusion plant that covered more than 10,000 acres now existed here. Some people said that nature had the power of uncanny workmanship. In fact, humans also possessed similar powers. When the security guard at the entrance saw Feng Jixiang's and Lin Fan's cars, he immediately stood up straight and quickly opened the gate. When the vehicles drove into the square of the factory, all the workers gathered together and stood neatly in a square. Under the gazes of the workers, Lin Fan and Feng Jixiang slowly walked onto the stage. Thanks to the hard work of everyone, the construction of Ordinary Technology Co., Limited is officially completed today, Feng Jixiang said loudly. The venue immediately erupted into a round of applause. This was a congratulatory gesture, and at the same time, it was also an affirmation of their hard work over the past few months. Next, let's invite Professor Lin to give a speech and cut the ribbon for the completion of Ordinary Technology Co., Limited. Hence, everyone's gaze was focused on Lin Fan. Lin Fan looked at everyone and said, "Ordinary Technology Co., Limited is completed." After saying that, he picked up the scissors and cut the ribbon. All the employees were stunned. Just one sentence and he was done. Feng Jixiang was the first to react. He raised his hand and clapped hard. Then, all the employees present also clapped. Lin Fan's face revealed an obvious smile. This was not because he was happy that he had successfully cut the ribbon, signifying the completion of the factory, but because a clear notification had sounded in his mind. Ding, mission completed, build a nuclear fusion plant of more than 10,000 acres, 1-1. Own a totomac device 1-1, and red particle simulation of plasmas, manual of plasma physics and formulas, physics of thermonuclear fusion plasma and controlled nuclear fusion, 5-5. Reward, complete version of controllable nuclear fusion device, its related knowledge physics level +1 platinum packet. Ding, upgrade successful, congratulations, you've gained top academician level physics experience. Suddenly, a lot of complicated physics knowledge appeared in Lin Fan's mind. Among them, controllable nuclear fusion knowledge was the most complicated. The applause ended. Feng Jixiang asked, "Professor Lin, let me show you around." "All right," Lin Fan said. Hence, Feng Jixiang brought Lin Fan past the towering chimney, the spacious workshop, the bright office, and the warm dormitory. Even though they were traveling by car, it took them more than half an hour to roughly tour the entire factory. At this moment, Feng Jixiang's gaze slowly landed on Lin Fan. He rubbed his hands and smiled. "Professor Lin, the construction of the factory has been completed. What about the controllable nuclear fusion?" Lin Fan said, "I'll go back first." Without waiting for Feng Jixiang to say anything else, he turned around and got into his Cullinan. He stepped on the accelerator and sped off into the distance. Only Feng Jixiang was left standing on the spot in a daze. What was going on? Was it not said that if the controllable nuclear fusion plant was built, he would have the controllable nuclear fusion technology? Why did he just leave? Feng Jixiang looked at the taillights that were getting farther and farther away. He opened his mouth, but in the end, he could not say anything. In the end, he could only sigh deeply. It seems like the controllable nuclear fusion, there's still a long way to go, Feng Jixiang said helplessly. 561 equipment arrived, power cut. Lin Fan had no idea about the change in Feng Jixiang's mentality. His thoughts moved slightly. In the next moment, a giant machine several meters tall appeared in the garden. At the same time, a thick stack of documents appeared on the coffee table. This was the controllable nuclear fusion equipment, as well as manuals, blueprints, and so on. Although it was the first time he saw these things, Lin Fan knew every single component and function of this machine. He sized it up for a while, then sat on the sofa and leisurely drank a few cups of spirit tea. He also played with his phone for a while. Only then did she call Feng Jixiang. After the ringtone rang 3 times, the call was connected. Just as Lin Fan was about to say something, a commotion sounded from inside. "Director Feng, why is it so noisy over there?" he asked. "Oh, I'm at the airport. I'm going to Jingbei for a meeting. Professor Lin, is there anything you need?" Lin Fan nodded. The controllable nuclear fusion equipment has arrived at Coiling Dragon Villa. since you're going to Jingbei for a meeting, you can come back next time. Feng Jixiang's phone fell to the ground. Then he shouted at the top of his lungs, "Driver, driver. Make a turn, I'm not taking the plane anymore, I want to go to Coiling Dragon Villa." Then Feng Jixiang put the phone to his ear and said, "I'll come over now, Professor Lin, please wait for me." After saying that, he hurriedly hung up the phone. Lin Fan heard the busy tone on his phone and chuckled. Feng Jixiang walked down anxiously. Then he asked in an extremely excited voice, "Professor Lin, this is?" Lin Fan nodded and said, "This is the controllable nuclear fusion device. I call it Ordinary One." Good name, Feng Jixiang shouted excitedly. As he spoke, he pressed his entire body against the device, as if he wanted to give it a big hug. At this moment, 3 army helicopters approached from afar and slowly landed. The leader of the soldiers saluted Feng Jixiang and Lin Fan. Then he ordered a dozen soldiers to surround the controllable nuclear fusion equipment, as well as the gates and blind spots of the Coiling Dragon Villa. Lin Fan could not help but ask curiously, "Director Feng, why did you bring so many people here?" "We just mentioned controllable nuclear fusion on the phone," Feng Jixiang said seriously. "If someone was eavesdropping, there'd be a certain risk." Lin Fan opened his mouth. He wanted to say that no one in this world could eavesdrop on his phone. However, he looked at Feng Jixiang's serious expression. He swallowed his words back into his heart. Forget it. He could do whatever he wanted. Lin Fan shook his head and continued playing with his phone. Not long after, 2 green trucks and several large cranes drove into Coiling Dragon Villa. After a series of careful maneuvering, the controllable nuclear fusion device finally landed smoothly on the truck. Seeing this, Feng Jixiang could not help but nod his head. He turned to Lin Fan and said, "Professor Lin, let's go." Lin Fan was stunned. "Leave, where are we going?" Feng Jixiang said, "Of course, we'll test the functions of Ordinary One. Although I've already asked a group of experts to wait at Ordinary Technology Company, we still don't know how to operate it." Hence, Lin Fan drove the Cullinan to the outskirts of the city, where Ordinary Technology Company was. At that moment, a large group of white-haired elders wearing glasses were standing at the entrance. They were the experts that Feng Jixiang had mentioned. "Hello, Department Director Feng," the experts said in unison. Feng Jixiang nodded. Then he introduced them to Professor Lin Fan. Everyone's figures became solemn. Who in the entire academic world had not heard of Lin Fan's name? He was a great existence who had won 4 Nobel Prizes at the same time. "Hello, Professor Lin." Lin Fan nodded, "Hello." Under Feng Jixiang and Lin Fan's instructions, the equipment was finally placed in the workshop in the middle. Finally, a bald expert could not help but ask, "Professor Lin, what kind of equipment is this?" Even though Feng Jixiang had informed them to come over, he did not say what they were here for. Obviously, this was also to prevent the phone from being tapped or the news from being leaked. Lin Fan said, "Oh, this Ordinary One." Lin Fan thought about it and felt that no one had heard of the name Ordinary One. "It's a controllable nuclear fusion device." His answer was very dull. However, it sounded like a huge thunder in everyone's ears, causing the entire workshop to suddenly fall silent. A controllable nuclear fusion device. The thing that only existed in legends. "Everyone should know the rules," Feng Jixiang said solemnly. "I won't say much. Later, everyone must sign a confidentiality agreement." Everyone nodded. Then Feng Jixiang said in a very nervous and anxious tone, "Professor Lin, what should we do next?" Lin Fan said, "Have you prepared the deuterated water?" "It's ready," Feng Jixiang said. Before building Ordinary Technology, Lin Fan had told him that he would be able to use controllable nuclear fusion technology. Therefore, Feng Jixiang had someone refine tritium early on. The purpose was to test the controllable nuclear fusion faster. Lin Fan nodded. "Although our factory is big, the power consumption is too low. Even the smallest amount of energy is enough to burn all the electrical equipment. How about this? Contact the electricity department and ask Lake District and Summer District to cut off electricity for 2 hours." Feng Jixiang responded like a soldier, all right. Then he quickly made a call. Leader Jiao, hello, I have an urgent matter here, I need your cooperation. Not long after Feng Jixiang hung up, his phone vibrated slightly. Professor Lin Lake District and Summer District is having a power cut, Feng Jixiang said. Lin Fan pointed at the entrance not far away and said, pour a ton of deuterium here. Under Feng Jixiang's command, someone quickly injected the tritium into it. Lin Fan said, all right, everything is ready, I will start. Hence, under the watchful eyes of Feng Jixiang and the experts, Lin Fan fiddled with many complicated buttons on the dashboard. Activate. After saying that, he pressed the last red button.